you, Fatima. It's a pleasure to be here with distinguished ministers, in particular Minister Jumbo. For those who don't know, was the key catalyst for the common position that Africa stood for during Rio +20, and has been quite prominent in terms of making sure that Africa negotiates as a bloc with one voice. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I'm delighted to be here in India, and I would like to start by thanking Terry and my dear friend, Dr. Pachauri, for convening this summit. We have a unique opportunity and space before us. I believe all of us gathered here share the same ambition of unlocking solutions to the complex nexus between energy, water, and food security for the benefit of the world's present and future generations. There are two interrelated issues that I would like to focus on when looking at the nexus between the theme of our summit and our continent, Africa. Let me first mention that we need to collectively persuade the skeptics of climate change on just how vulnerable Africa is to it. We should do this by navigating scientific findings and hard facts that make its impact unequivocal. The IPCC report states that the last 3 decades have been successfully warmer at the Earth's surface than any preceding decade. You all know that. Scientists further predict that the current pace of warming is 10 times faster than any other over the last 65 million years. Warming across Africa is predicted at an equally alarming rate. Yet the paradox is that of all the regions of the world, Africa is believed to be the one causing the least harm to the climate. Its CO2 emissions per capita are less than 1 ton per annum, and it accounts for just 2.4% of the world emissions. However, climate damage as a percentage of GDP is higher in Africa than elsewhere in the world. The second issue is about leveraging the opportunities that arise for Africa's transformation, just mentioned by Fatima, if we properly address climate change. With an average GDP growth projected to climb to 6% this year, and with continuous good prosperity, Africa is likely to outstrip Asia's growth records by 2050. It is already the fastest growing continent, despite an ailing global economy, and it is imperative for Africa to capitalize on growth for real transformation. The only way to do this is through industrialization. To illustrate the pace, it took Great Britain 155 years to double its GDP during the Industrial Revolution, and Africa has achieved the same in the last 12 years. The key for Africa is the type of industrialization that it chooses, so that it can be part of the sustainable development solution without having to forfeit its right to industrialize. This is particularly significant when considering that Africa's population is projected to double in the next 40 years, representing about half of the globe's total population growth. By 2050, again, Africa's youth alone will constitute over a quarter of the world's labor force. With a rising middle class and rapid urbanization taking place at a rate that is more than twice the world's urban growth average, which is 3.7%, invariable demand for food, energy, and water will rise. This could either trigger a competition for resources or present a rare and historical opportunity for a rapid green industrialization, offering incredible investment opportunities and real dividends. Green industrialization can tackle the continent's energy, water, and food security challenge if we do it right. As I had proposed at the 3rd Annual Conference on Climate Change and Development in Africa recently, allow me to share a 6-point strategy for Africa going forward. First, Africa has the potential to leap to a new, clean techno-economic paradigm. For instance, the European Commission's Institute for Energy suggests that 0.3% of the sunlight that shines on the Sahara and the Middle East deserts could supply all of Europe's energy needs. As Africa is not locked in any technological preferences, it can follow a green and clean energy pathway and leapfrog old carbon-intensive models and pursue a low-carbon development pathway. The growing awareness of environmental degradation and climate change is giving rise to new research and design priorities, like clean energy technologies that could be scaled up rapidly. The continent is well positioned to absorb, adapt, and build on the vast quantities of scientific and technical knowledge already available. Many African countries, such as Cape Verde, Kenya, Ethiopia, Morocco, and Uganda, we have here the minister, are already investing in innovative, renewable, and clean energy sectors and offsetting traditional energy sources dependent on fossil fuels, biomass, and forest resources. Second, greater investment in climate science, services, and production of highly quality data is imperative in the continent. This is to facilitate the development of early warning systems and initiate much needed research on climate impact, vulnerability, and adaptation, and for creating a knowledge economy. Many global, African, and national institutions are already making progress in transforming climate data, information systems, and science. In fact, one of the fundamental and priority undertakings of ClimDev Africa program that Fatima leads is to make climate information widely available to inform policy decisions and development planning. Third, we have to improve our institutional and policy capacity. There must be investment in mechanisms for a concerted engagement of all key players, from climate and social scientists to development economists, policymakers, entrepreneurs, to users of climate information, and so on. Not only would this help coordinate efforts, it would also contribute to the design of innovative, multi-sectoral strategies, mainstream climate change into national development plans, and usher in a new form of deliberative economy. To prepare for climate risks in urban infrastructure and development countries could build climate-proof urban infrastructure, for instance, and put transport systems on a low-carbon path, like it is already happening in Côte d'Ivoire, Algeria, South Africa, and other countries in Africa. Fourth, investing in expanded South-South partnerships, that's why we are here in India, can help risk management. By systematically sharing experiences and lessons learned, disaster-prone countries facing similar challenges can arrive at better climate change solutions. They can set up efforts to address these challenges and establish South-South cooperation to focus on their unique challenges and incubate several options that will insulate them from current vulnerabilities and develop future opportunities. For example, the African, Caribbean, and Pacific small island states share similar challenges and can work together. It is essential for Africa to go beyond the sum total of individual countries' capacities. Fifth, let us leverage Africa's agriculture, another point made by Fatima. With a growing population and an ever-increasing demand for food, investment in agriculture are critical. Investing in production technologies, innovation, water use efficiency, and sustainable land management are all essential. The bulk of agricultural export across the continent is still predominantly in the form of primary products with very limited value addition. Leveraging the capacity of the private sector to scale up investment in agro-processing would create jobs and diversify export commodities. Unlocking the sector's strong multiplier effect in the economy would further contribute to the increased incomes and poverty reduction. Sixth and last, let us use tourism for Africa's advantage and the world's biodiversity wealth. According to the UN World Tourism Organization, Africa is one of the fastest growing tourist destinations. There is already growing recognition of the urgent need for the tourism industry, national governments and international organizations to develop and implement strategies to face the changing climate conditions. Scaling up investments in ecotourism could mitigate tourism's environmental impacts, like some countries are doing. We have here two examples in our panel, the Gambia and the Seychelles, but it's also happening in Kenya, Rwanda, Zambia, and South Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, climate change was responsible for bad and good in the past. Most of it happened without humans having a clue why it was so. Now we know. To avoid the bad and aim for the good, Africa can take the leap and can take the lead and not be a spectator. Thank you.